Hello, everybody.
Good morning.
Welcome. This is Giovanni's second podcast. I am your host, Dr. Din, Sophia Din, and
I am Laura, the hairstylist.
she's the hair guru. And we are back again. And one of the things that, Laura, before we go, we also have to tell because last time when we posted our video, I had said, so many times in it that I created a contest. It was like if you calculate the correct number of you-knows in my video, the last video, I was going to give away a free lip filler.
Wow. I'm getting on that video. I want to count them.
So that was a good lesson. It was like good speech therapy for me because I'm like, okay, if this is how many times I say then I owe a lip filler to people, and if they cannot count. So I have we have a winner on all the people who actually went in and counted, and also they posted the result in the body of the
How many times? What was the count? The final count?
my God, the real count was 95.
In the 20-minute video?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I owe a lip filler.
Lucky winner. Well, we have to continue to make these grammatically poor videos so that you can make more contests and have more winners.
Absolutely. We can make it fun. So I'm absolutely into all this. So we are going to be doing a raffle in our office because a few people gave me the correct answer. And one of the things was that if anybody, a bunch of you also texted me personally. So if you texted me personally, that does not count. You have to go and post on the video. So that was it. So we're going to see how today's thing goes. So I'm very excited. My book is releasing on the 25th. My book launch is going to be in October, but since it's going to be released in September, so I'm very excited. It is, it has kept me awake for like almost over a month now. I acknowledged on this, in the acknowledgements, I said that it felt like childbirth while carrying two full-time jobs.
I can imagine that it must feel like that.
Yeah.
Your baby, you put so much into it.
I know, it was like a lot of work, but the thing is that it is for the foundation. So I really thought that I can create a product which we can offer to our clients so that I didn't want to just get a donation and not be able to give them something.
Right.
So it was very important that I put the book out so that I know it's not going to be perfect at this time because we did it in such amazing speed, and it's very accurate though, but some of the frills still need to be attached to it, and that's it. But still, hey, listen, with after all is said and done, it is still very
informative.
It's very informative. It's also I've sold enough copies now that I know it is going to be a bestseller. So especially in dermatology. So it's very good because the intention is good, but also the book is very good. So I'm very excited about it.
It's great. It's great.
So one of the things that we wanted to talk about today was from our previous conversation, we talked about obesity last time and weight reduction in women. And a lot of people actually commented and discussed weight issues with me, and that is a very big part of our practice also. So what is your I do want you to tell our listeners about your experience with weight gain and weight loss. Like right now you're like in perfect shape, but at some point you changed your lifestyle, right?
Right. So when I was 24, after giving birth to my older daughter. First of all, I always battled with weight. At 18 years old, I was 180 pounds.
Wow.
After giving birth to my older daughter, I was in a toxic relationship, and food was my salvation. I was 220 pounds.
Wow.
And I was miserable again in my life. And I just felt that things had to change. I couldn't continue. I couldn't continue the relationship I was in. I couldn't continue to be the weight that I was. So I started on Weight Watchers.
So this is when you were, how young were you?
I was about 24.
24 at that
No,
time.
I'm sorry. I was about 27, 28.
After the birth of your child.
And I started Weight Watchers, and I was able to get down to 145 pounds. I left the relationship. Once I started to lose weight, everything just became clearer, and I knew what I needed to do. And through my life from that point, my 145 was always my lowest point, and I always went up 20 pounds, down, always back and forth. And as of now, I'm 135. And I like this weight. I feel comfortable at it.
So, tell me something. So, did your food choices change? I mean, what did you change when you moved from... I see this all the time, and by the way, it has happened to myself also. But I see all the time that a lot of women and men would come in, and they're oscillating between 20 pounds up, 20 pounds down,
Right.
and like sometimes 30 pounds up and 30 pounds down. But until they maintain their bodies, that the lifestyles that we recommend, they really cannot hold that weight. So what did you change in your life that you not only got down, but also you've maintained it for how long now? It's like...
So when I was roughly 28, I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. And it was a process. I had sought out several nutritionists to help me with this, because I was also on heavy doses of prednisone, which would fluctuate my weight. And I chose to be gluten-free, corn, and dairy-free. Now, with that being said, there's a lot of foods out there that don't contain that stuff, that are high in calories. So even though maybe I was eating healthier, I was still finding a way, because I also feel that I do have a food addiction. So when you want something, you're gonna get it, right?
So food addiction, what kind of foods were you interested in? Like, give me an example.
Sweets,
You're my Italian, she's Italian,
well,
and she's like...
Right. So
the pastas, would you eat outside? Would you get food brought in and cook them yourself?
Yeah, so right, for Italians, gluten-free. Now everything, there are a lot more choices gluten-free, but when I had started it, there wasn't a lot. So I just was not having pasta. And going to family events, what do you mean you're not going to have pasta? How are you, like, it was like I was committing a crime.
Exactly, the carb-heavy people.
Right, and a lot of the family didn't understand how the food was affecting my body. So it just, again, years in the making. It didn't happen overnight at all. I am at the point now where I definitely food prep. My food choices are very limited, and I think it's also my age mentally, that I know that this is the lifestyle I want. I know that it's better for me to eat this way.
So you're gluten-free, dairy-free,
and corn-free.
Corn-free, okay. And so do you still take pasta?
No, I don't. Okay. I haven't had pasta in probably 2 years.
Wow.
And honestly, I don't miss it.
Nice.
Yeah, I
And how's
feel
sugar?
good.
How's your refined sugar going on?
That's okay. So, right, the interesting thing that I've always heard, sugar's like a drug.
It's a toxin.
Right.
That's what I say. Refined sugar is like a toxin. It acts like a toxin. Your liver metabolizes it like a toxin. And I always tell people that one of the reasons that American diet and Americans have so much obesity, and I was affected by it also, is because of the processed refined sugars, and it was like almost in everything, and all processed foods, everything, it would say light and healthy and whatever on the cover, but if you look at the ingredients, there's so much sugar, there's so much crap, and all those things are also very, very, very highly addictive. It's very, very difficult to maintain your weight when you're eating so much processed food. So it's.
And I think that I feel that as Americans, we're so involved in food. Everything is food. Everywhere you go, there's fast food here, fast food there, and it makes me sad that this is what we've come to in our life. Right, Uber Eats, and I don't agree with it. I think that it's not good for us. It's not good for our children. I feel fortunate enough that I live in an area that it's very health conscious. A majority of the people do go to the gym. A majority of the people are involved in eating better and teaching their children to eat better. And not to say that they don't eat bad once in a while, but
mostly they're eating great.
Better, I think.
Exactly.
We're aware.
We are becoming more and more aware. But I do feel, and I see also a lot of my clients come in and they are on ketogenic diets, and they're doing intermittent fasting, as well as they're on some form of keto. And a lot of people ask me, like, what is a ketogenic diet also? And basically, so American diet is very carb heavy. Basically, the body makes the fuel from the carbs, and from the carbs, the body basically makes glucose, which becomes available as a source of energy. But when you do a ketogenic diet, you're basically on a low carb and high fat diet, and it has some moderate amount of protein also. And that what it does is that it basically shifts the body's metabolic system. Instead of obtaining energy from carbohydrate metabolism, it starts using fat for providing energy. And fat cells, when they are consumed by the liver, they produce something called ketone bodies. And ketone bodies, part of ketone bodies, I mean, they have like a few other components, but part of ketone's body is a chemical called beta hydroxybutyrate, and that is something that goes through the blood-brain barrier and is utilized by the brain as energy source. So instead of the brain using glucose for energy, it starts using the hydroxybutyrate for energy, and that is also a very good source of energy, and the body functions very well in that. So ketogenic diet was initially introduced in the early part of the 20th century, and it was used for people kids who had intractable seizures, like they would not respond to anything, and by modifying their diets and putting them on this form of diet, they were able to really resolve a bunch of their symptoms. But now a lot of people are using it also. It has a comeback, and it is very efficient, it's very effective, and the only thing is that because we live in such a carb heavy society, and there is so much carbs all the time, you pretty much feel like oh my God, what am I going to eat? But now there are so many different versions and things available. One thing with keto diet that I see also is that when you take a lot of fats, you can sometimes have a very your cholesterol levels can increase.
Yeah, what about that?
So if you're using a lot of fat without really figuring out, so you should be having polyunsaturated fats, like you should be having olive oil and avocados, and use those things for energy rather than bad fats. So that is one of the things, but otherwise everything is ketogenic diet with intermittent fasting is one of the things that I recommend to my clients when they are they've already lost weight and they want to maintain it. They want to still keep losing weight, but they want to maintain it over a period of time. So it is like kind of a lifestyle modification.
Right.
We also do HCG diet, which is another one, which is a calorie restriction diet. That also works wonders for a lot of people. Again, there are a lot of dietary fads. We do Mediterranean. I know people are doing Mediterranean diet. They're doing Dr. Gundry's diet. They're doing bulletproof diet. They're doing paleo diet and everything. And one underlying thing that is common in all of these diets is that they tell you, all of them without fail would tell you, please go ahead and do not use any refined sugar in your diet. So none of my diets have we don't allow any sugars. And then yes, you can have fruit sometimes, because fruit is nature's way of giving you fructose and sugar. And once you take I tell people, don't take a juice, actually eat real fruit. Because the fructose is trapped into the matrix of the food's body. And when God makes a toxin, he also protects it in he also puts it in an antidote. So so that is it. So fruit is a better way of getting sugar. So one of the things is that yes, no sugars, and then the other thing is that take whole foods.
Right.
So make your own food. So whether you're doing paleo or Mediterranean or this or that or whatever, don't go and get a box of pizza from somewhere or whatever. Just get full, complete whole foods and then cook them.
Yeah, and then you'll have them. That's what I've learned for myself is that preparing the food so that when I am ravenous, it's there, and I'm gonna grab that as opposed to going into chips and
eating. Right. I don't even bring them anymore because they're so addictive. If you start eating a Dorito, the bag has to finish.
That's it. It's done. So yeah, you definitely, you have to set yourself up to win, not for failure.
Absolutely.
And if you prepare, you're ahead of
and
the
food
game.
is a very important part. So lifestyle is that, but also sometimes there would be people who would come in and like, I am eating everything perfectly. I also go and move my body, but I still can't seem to lose weight. And what happens is they're just sometimes plateauing, and also sometimes your body's metabolic rate. So body is a very, very complicated machine. So if you have, if you're in a state of inflammation, or if you're in a state of stress, and if your body is continuously spilling cortisol because you're either like you were in a toxic relationship. It happened to me also. When anytime I was in toxic relationships or basically just sad in my life, I was unable to lose any weight. It was as if I was just swollen. I mean, I don't look swollen right now, right?
At all. Not at all. Mind-body connection.
I have body dysmorphia, so I can't see.
Me too.
You don't.
I do. I so do.
She came in today. She's like, dude, I look so good. I love myself.
I was like, no way. Look at my under eyes. Don't get them. But we are, and I think women especially, we are so hard on ourselves. And it stinks, and it makes me sad because we really are beautiful.
Yes, absolutely. And the first person who has to fall in love with you is yourself. We ourselves have to look. So beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and if I am the beholder, I should learn to love myself and that is very, very important. Don't yes, once you like yourself, then other people also join you, and they're like, oh yeah, we also kind of like you.
It's the energy
Yes.
that you give off, and I have so learned that, and I will tell you that at my age, 49, I am I am loving it. Like I don't miss 30s, I don't miss 20s. I feel so good.
I know.
Mentally, physically. I have bad days.
Yes.
Like yesterday was a rough day for me, but I wouldn't trade this age, and I look so forward to what the next ages are going to be.
Absolutely. And part of it is also because you're anti-aging. So when I was 30, I hated my life when I was in my 30s.
Yeah.
I was like, yes, even though I was progressing in life, I was really not happy.
Yeah.
And to be able to live in my 40s and 50s as if while I still I can feel like I'm in my 30s,
Right.
it's a great chance at, redoing that decade. And it's very nice. I love it. So I think that is why anti-aging also is sometimes comes in very handy. That I'm not looking at my 30s as like the lost decade. I'm looking at my 30s as, all right, whatever. I learned. Gained a lot of experience. Gained a lot of knowledge, and I can still like kick ass.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to keep kicking ass till I'm 100.
You're already. So is there any supplements that you recommend for hair? Because I heard that Kylie, because she was always like doing this, she had like these high ponytails, and she just lost a piece of patch of hair in her, and she did PRP, and it just grew back. And so many people you have sent to me, because we do PRP and stem cells. What do you think? I mean, I know about PRP. We give biotin and B vitamins. Is there any food-wise you recommend anything?
Protein. Women generally do not get enough protein, and I'm not in any way, shape, or form a medical doctor, person, nutritionist, anything. This is what I have learned for myself, and being to so many nutritionists and just talking to people and research. Protein. I don't know, you can Google this, but I think the recommended amount of protein is like something like 1.5 gram per how much weight you are. Again, please Google it. I don't want to give false information.
Sue her afterwards.
Yeah, I have 2 kids. You can sue me for them.
She'll give her one of her children to you.
I have a dog, a very cute dog. But we don't get enough protein. So when a client comes to me and they're expressing their concerns about hair loss and aging, right? Because our hormones are declining, so we start to shed more.
Yes.
I tell them, start with your doctor, check your hormone levels. But most of the time, it's where women don't eat enough protein.
Yes.
And women will come back to me and say, like, well, I had an egg this morning. I understand that, but it's still not enough. We need 3 to 4 grams of protein at every meal, and gentle brushing on your hair, not such tight ponytails. Boar's hair brushes, I have found for myself, are excellent.
And also stress can cause it also, because stress is one of the major ways, because the hair falls. Sometimes when you're stressed, you'll see, oh my God, my hair is also falling. So stress is...
Stress. I have a client,
meditation.
she has a massive head of hair. And she said to me, she's like, Laura, she was like, I'm losing so much hair. Like, she felt like she was just pulling out clumps. And I know as a hairdresser, you get to know your clients very well. So I knew that her time in life, it was a very traumatic time for her. And I said, it's probably stress. She went to her doctor. The doctor tested her. The doctor agreed it's probably stress. forward how many months, her hair is back to normal. She's not shedding.
Yes,
so
good. So you get
It's
over that
not-
period when a
yeah,
lot of
right.
your hair can get into the shedding phase,
Right.
because hair has a growth cycle. You know, it's small, and you know it. So usually the shedding phase, if it occurs on a whole bunch, we don't realize, but a lot of our hair is falling all the time.
Always,
That is one of
always.
the premises behind laser hair removal. That every time you come, there's like 10 or 15% of your hair that is either in the growth phase that we take out. So yes, but that is a hair care. We are going to be coming in next week. Again, we will have a guest who is joining us, who is also a mental health professional, and she is going to be talking about helping us talk about body dysmorphia, and how getting into these treatments, or getting into a med spa before you start doing any of this work for yourself, anti-aging for yourself. How do you actually also make sure that you're not trying to fix yourself with just Botox and fillers?
Right.
Because anti-aging is different than you trying to look like someone else.
Right.
So that is it. Take care, and post your questions under in the comment section below, and we will see you next week, 10 o'clock. Bye bye.